The credentials of the original producer, Linwood Bowman, were really terrific. At that time, he'd done a series called Night Court, and then he later went on to create Malcolm in the Middle. So, the guy was clearly talented.
Alpha 4, Alpha 9, where's the damn cat?
In certain countries, that's considered a delicacy.
When he did the American pilot, that was the first show he'd ever been showrunner on where he was solely in charge. And in my view, he made some mistakes.
The first time I heard about the American pilot was before we started the series, and I was asked not to talk about it because I think at that stage it wasn't definite. But the American producers had expressed an interest in taking me, and I've never, still to this day, been quite sure why. I don't think it's because they thought I was really an American and they wouldn't have to get me a work permit and a visa. Because you'd think that once they realised they had to, they'd think, let's get someone else, But they did. I mean, and it was a huge hassle for them to get that. It wasn't easy to wangle it.
Must have made a wrong turn somewhere. You should have made a left at the last intersection, Crichton. Be quiet, sparehead one. I know what I'm doing. Boy, I hate backseat drivers.
The original understanding was that the British cast weren't going to be involved at all. And much to our delight stroke horror, we discovered Robert was in it. And human nature being what it is, there was bound to be some fierce jealousy from from certainly at least two of the cast.
The Chris who played Rimmer was weak. The guy who played me was really good. That's what really pissed me off as well. He was really good, but he was like 6'4" and handsome.
How long have I been in stasis, Holly?
Well, I couldn't let you out until the radiation died down to a safe level. Really? You're gonna laugh.
How long?
Just under 3 million years.
My baseball cards must be worth a fortune.
We weren't really involved. It was very much the Americans talking to Robert.
We didn't know, and obviously, to try and keep the focus, they thought it was a good idea that they didn't tell everyone because who knows what would have happened.
Robert at that point was going, I'm not sure. Do I want to go to America? And the money is rather a lot, and every time I say no, they keep doubling it. But I'm not really sure. Now, my feeling was Robert going out and telling that to the guys in the cast was really not going to be helpful for the next season.
It's all water under the bridge to me now, but I found out about the Red Dwarf pilot from the makeup lady, Andrea Finch. She was making me up, and I said, what you do next time? I've gone over to America with Robert. I said, what for? She'd go to do the Red Dwarf American show. And no one had told us about it. And Robert hadn't told us about it. And we just felt like cheated.
And I still hadn't agreed to do the American one, because I was really torn about it, because it felt, I was very attached to the British cast, and it felt like, and also you have to sign this horrendous contract, or I thought you had to sign this, I found out later you didn't, but when you're offered a job like that, you get given a 6-year contract, which ties you into this show for 6 years, just in case it runs, and then they've got you, and you can't sort of go, I don't want to do it now. And I'm very much a don't want to do it now sort of person. So I was rather nervous about this monstrous contract. And I didn't want to live in Hollywood, and I didn't want to it would have been 32 episodes of Red Dwarf a year for 6 years. I sort of thought I could see myself at the end of that, either with a staggeringly complex chemical abuse habit or 8 personal psychotherapists and a masseuse.
And then about halfway through, Robert said, look, I am going to do it.
Lister was played by Craig Berko, who when I first met him, I went, oh my, this is so wrong. You know, that was that kind of fear, because he's incredibly handsome. He's got proper pectoral muscles that you can only get in America. I don't know where you get them from. There must be a store.
If you was going to ask me who Lister should have been, ideally, if you wanted an American, John Belushi. He's Lister, not Craig Berko.
And he was actually up for a part in Friends, the sitcom. He was going to play Joey, and he said no, but that's another story.
What's your name?
Crichton. Well, my full name is Crichton 2XB 517P. Although I don't really like the 2XB part. I think it's a rather jerky middle name.
Dave Lister.
Oh. Well, conversation mode. So, Mr. Lister, sir, what brings you out into deep space?
Oh, that's a long story. I, got into a drinking game. One minute I'm sitting in a bar in Detroit. Next thing I know, I'm waking up on a park bench on the fourth moon of Saturn wearing absolutely nothing but a traffic cone on my head.
Charming guy, really good-looking man, and lovely teeth. He had lovely Californian teeth. Hey, Bob, great to meet you. Great, you know. Oh.
They made everyone a bit more better looking. Well, the men, anyway.
Chris Eichmann was Rimmer, who immediately I saw him in the room. I went, that's Rimmer. And I was right.
So what's it feel like?
Death?
Yeah.
It's like being at an Amish bachelor party.
When Rob came back, I went to his, he had I think it was a launch party or a birthday party, and I attended. And so I sort of walked in and went, who played the cat? Really? And he went, a guy called Hinton Battle. And I went, who? Hinton Battle?
I know what you want. You're after my string. This string is mine.
This guy was like a hero to us dancers and that over here, you know. I thought, no. And then I thought about it. I thought, well, obviously, because, you know, my musical theatre background, and this guy'd been, you know, this guy played the Scarecrow in The Wiz when he was 16 on Broadway, you know. He'd got 3 Tony Awards, you know, like, this guy was the man as far as song and dance was concerned, you know. This guy had an album produced by Quincy Jones.
Okay. Be big.
This is a cat?
He evolved from cat, sir, just as your distant ancestors once swung from trees.
Ancestors? His grandparents swung from trees.
Jane Leeves as Holly, who went on to be very successful in Frasier.
Yeah, I thought that was strange. They ended up with an English Holly, because Jane Leeves, although she's meant to be American, she's actually English. So I think her hair was wrong.
I'm now 2.9 million years over my rated lifespan. My memory is shot, all my circuits are breaking down. Actually, that one felt kind of good.
We arrived, exhausted from the series and kind of jet-lagged. We met the guys in the bar at the hotel, and they basically said, we've got a script, it's really terrific. And in fact, it was a kind of botched, horrible version of the pilot.
Weekly chicken soup machine.
All right, can it, mister?
Yes, sir, Mr. Rimmer, sir.
Except to introduce Crichton as a character who was joining the ship at that point.
Oh, excuse me, sirs. I'm looking for Captain Tao. I appear to be a little lost.
You're a robot, right?
It shows.
Only to the trained eye.
We did the read-through, and it just didn't, well, it got a lot of polite laughter, but it wasn't good at all.
I think 14 writers had been hired to write it. So it was based on the original opening script of Red Dwarf, but with changes introducing Crichton right at the beginning. But the same basic idea of the cat being taken on board the ship, you know, blah, blah, blah.
We did the table reading. We then joined, they had a load of guys from The Simpsons and some guys from Cheers came in, so there was a group of like 10 guys all in one room, chipping in one-liners. We were pretty tired, and our nickname became The Wave, which was an abbreviation for the wave of negativity, because we wouldn't just be chipping in one-liners like everyone else. We'd be asking really fundamental questions. One of the big changes that they made was, with Lister, they cast Craig Berko. Now, Craig Berko, I think, was a terrific actor and would have made a terrific Lister, but in the way that we tailored our script to fit Craig, you needed to tailor the script to fit Craig Berko. People go, oh, he was, he belonged on Baywatch. Oh, he was Mr. Hunky. He was this. No, he wasn't. He was, he's a pretty good-looking guy, okay? There's nothing wrong if you're funny and you're a good actor. It's possible, Look at the guys in Friends, they're not hideous. It's still possible to make it work. You don't need to, be pug ugly to be funny. However, the central idea of that pilot show was Lister couldn't get a date from Kochanski.
I can change, Hey, whatever.
No, that's the problem. Hey, whatever. You spend your whole life just drifting and avoiding responsibility. I can't be in a relationship like that.
Wait a minute. I think I know what kind of commitment you're talking about here. You want me to make you my official girlfriend. My God, Chris, you know something? I think I'm ready to take that leap.
Bye, Dave. Don't call.
It was just wrong for Lister's character to be chasing someone so uptight and kind of dislikable. And those were the points that Rob and I were constantly making, and they were going, basically, oh, you're being so negative, just think of one-liners. And we went, doesn't matter how many one-liners you think of, that's not going to solve it. That's just Band-Aid over the cancer. You need to sort out some real fundamental problems. So we had the big session with all the writers, and we did like 2 or 3 nights like that. This is all over a week. And round about the second or the third night, we just went, guys, we can't think of anything. We're just absolutely dead. We need to get some sleep. We've come in from a series where Rob literally fell asleep in an edit, sitting up like this. Then we've caught the plane to LA. We've had no sleep. We need some sleep. So we were dismissed and nicknamed the Wave. And then they did this rewrite, and then there was another table reading the following day.
And it was only after we'd done a couple of read-throughs with lots of men in suits doing really quite poor fake laughing. Da-da-da. Well, sir, da-da. Doing that. And I'd sort of look at them, and the rest of and I was worried that I was the weird one. But then I look at the rest of the cast, and they were all going, these people are sick. So I realised it wasn't completely on mine. Rob and Doug sort of going like this.
And the second table reading was even worse than the first table reading. All humour had been completely stripped out of the show. It was just terrible.
There was a sort of discussion amongst, not inspired by me at all, but I think a couple of other cast members sort of gathered round and going, right, come here. What do you think of this script? And I was sort of being all, I think it's very good. And they went, it's shit. And they hated it. They all hated it. So I went, oh dear. I don't know. I was so out of my depth. I went, I don't know what you do. I was going, well, I'm sure we can make it work, and maybe we can talk about it. And I didn't know what to do.
And then we went to Linwood and we said, look, we've had a good night's sleep. We'd really like to have a crack at rewriting the script. This was about 7 p.m. We can have a new script ready for you at 8 a.m. And there were recording some bits the following day, and then the main show the day after that. This is where training in late scripts can come in useful. So he went, why? What's wrong with this script? And we went, no one thinks it works. It's not funny. We can do something. We can fix a lot of the problems. A lot of the problems were in the first 15 minutes. And then there were some quite good one-liners. Some terrific one-liners. And then the ending was horrible.
You've been stuck here for 3 million years? What have you been doing?
Well, I've been reading that fire exit sign over there. This cat is quite clearly pregnant.
He is? I thought it was all the beer I've been giving him.